Do you believe that happiness is a constant state we should all strive for? What if this obsession with being happy is actually keeping you from true inner peace? The idea that we must always be happy is seductive, but can also be a trap that fuels dissatisfaction and despair. What the Stoics understood about happiness can completely change how you view life. In this video, we'll explore a different approach that challenges modern beliefs and may free you from the endless pursuit of happiness, paradoxically, making you happier in the process. We live in a world that has turned happiness into a product. Social media, movies, and advertisements sell an idealized image of perfect lives, as if happiness were something you could buy, achieve, or showcase. But ironically, the more we chase this manufactured happiness, the more frustrated and incomplete we feel. With every new accomplishment, every step forward, the sense of fulfillment seems to slip through our fingers. Think for a moment, how often have you believed you'd be happy once you achieve a specific goal? Maybe that long-awaited promotion, the house of your dreams, or the perfect relationship. But upon reaching it, you realize the euphoria was fleeting, and suddenly, a new goal demanded your attention. This endless chase creates a cycle. Happiness always seems just out of reach, never in the present. The Stoics saw this obsession as a trap. To them, seeking external sources of happiness makes us captives to things beyond our control. Imagine spending your life trying to grasp a cloud, always within sight but impossible to hold. What if we've been looking in the wrong direction all along? Perhaps happiness isn't something to be achieved, but rather something that emerges from the way you choose to live. Not from what you have or accomplish, but from how you navigate the present, accepting what's within your reach and letting go of what isn't. What would happen if, instead of pursuing happiness as a goal, you began to experience it as a consequence? For the Stoics, happiness wasn't a goal to be achieved, but a state that naturally arises when we live in harmony with virtues such as courage, justice, wisdom, and temperance. Instead of treating happiness as a reward at the end of a journey, they saw it as a reflection of the choices we make daily. True happiness, in the Stoic view, is deeply connected to how we handle our thoughts, actions, and sense of purpose. Imagine for a moment that happiness is like the shadow of your character. You don't need to chase it because it appears naturally when you walk in alignment with your values. When your actions reflect what you believe to be right, happiness becomes a constant companion rather than a mirage on the horizon. This simple yet transformative perspective completely changes how we approach the highs and lows of life. Consider the example of an athlete. They don't enter the field solely focused on winning, but rather on giving their best, improving their skills, and facing challenges with determination. Victory, when it comes, is the result of this daily effort. Similarly, for the Stoic, happiness is a consequence, not an objective. The Stoics also believed that happiness was more tied to the quality of your actions than to the circumstances around you. Think about how you react when things don't go as planned. It's easy to get lost in frustration and blame the world. But what if, instead, you focused on how you could act virtuously, even in the most adverse situations? It's here that happiness emerges, not because external conditions have changed, but because you've chosen to steer your ship firmly, regardless of the storm. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic thinkers, said, "It's not events that disturb us, but our interpretation of them." This means that happiness doesn't depend on circumstances, but on how you perceive them. When you learn to focus on what you can control, your choices, reactions, and attitudes, and let go of what lies beyond your reach, you discover that happiness was there all along. The Stoic philosophy invites us to redefine success. Instead of measuring our achievements by material gains or others' approval, we are encouraged to look inward. True success, according to the Stoics, is living in alignment with our deepest principles, even when no one is watching. It's not about what you do to impress the world, but about building a life that makes sense to you. A key aspect of this Stoic redefinition is the idea that adversity is not an enemy of happiness but an ally. When you face an obstacle, how do you respond? For a Stoic, every challenge is an opportunity to strengthen character. By viewing problems as part of the growth process, you transform difficulties into tools for building a more meaningful and resilient life. There will be moments of pain, loss, and uncertainty. These are inevitable. But the Stoics teach us that happiness can coexist with these experiences because, at its core, it doesn't reside in external circumstances, but in how you choose to live through them. It's about being able to look at yourself and say, I did my best with what was within my control. Perhaps the greatest gift of Stoicism is this freedom. The freedom from relying on external conditions to be happy. The freedom to find meaning even in hard times. And the freedom to know that as long as your actions align with virtues, happiness will always be by your side, like a shadow that never leaves you. One of the most powerful lessons of Stoicism is the practice of distinguishing between what is within our control and what is not. Far too often, we waste time and energy trying to change things that are completely beyond our reach, like other people's opinions, their behavior, or even unforeseen events. For the Stoics, this is a pointless effort that only leads to frustration and anxiety. The focus should be on what you truly can control, your thoughts, choices, and reactions. Imagine a common situation. Someone criticizes you. Your first reaction might be defensive or even to feel hurt. But can you control what this person thinks or says? No. What you can control is how you choose to respond. You can decide to absorb the criticism constructively or simply ignore it. This shift in perspective not only reduces the emotional impact, but also gives you a sense of autonomy, a key foundation for more stable happiness. Another core Stoic principle is the appreciation of simplicity. In the frantic pursuit of great achievements, we often overlook the small joys that are right in front of us. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, said that true happiness lies in the simple things around us when we take the time to notice them. A warm cup of coffee in the morning, the sun's rays on your face, or an honest conversation with a friend. These experiences connect us to the present and remind us of what truly matters. How many times have you been surrounded by these small moments but ignored them because you were too busy, worried, or distracted? Stoicism invites us to slow down and pay attention. By learning to find joy in simplicity, you realize that happiness isn't reserved for extraordinary moments but is available every day. The Stoics had a unique approach to dealing with adversity. They saw it as a disguised opportunity. While many view challenges as obstacles to happiness, the Stoics believe they are essential for strengthening it. Epictetus famously said, "What matters is not what happens to you, but how you choose to interpret it." This perspective reframes life's difficulties, not just as unavoidable, but as critical for personal growth. Imagine facing a setback at work. Perhaps a project didn't succeed, or you didn't get the promotion you were hoping for. While many might spiral into frustration or despair, the Stoic chooses to see this as a chance to improve. What can you learn from this experience? How can it make you better? This shift in mindset transforms adversity into a moment of personal transformation. Difficulties stop being enemies of happiness and become its allies. The Stoics practice this perspective daily, even in extreme circumstances. Consider Seneca, who faced exile and later a death sentence. He could have succumbed to despair, but instead chose to focus on what he could control, his mind and actions. His resilience not only kept him steady, but also made him one of philosophy's most respected voices. Think about your own life. Are there areas where you're expending energy on things you cannot control? What small pleasures have you been overlooking? How can you start viewing your challenges as opportunities for growth? These questions form the foundation for transforming how you experience happiness. Applying these Stoic tools isn't complicated but requires practice. The next time you feel frustrated, ask yourself, is this within my control? When you're stuck in routine, pause and notice the beauty in the moment. And when you face an obstacle, remind yourself that it might hold the lesson you need to move forward. These simple practices can transform not just how you live, but how you feel happiness. How often do you catch yourself thinking you need something more to be happy? Perhaps a new job, an ideal relationship, or a personal achievement. Happiness seems to always be somewhere distant, waiting for the next big accomplishment. But what if what you already have is enough? What if the key to happiness lies in simply recognizing what's in front of you right now? The Stoics invite us to step out of this scarcity mindset and focus on the present with gratitude and attention. Happiness isn't about achieving more. It's about noticing more. Imagine for a moment slowing down to find joy in the things you often overlook. Perhaps the laughter of a friend, the warmth of a coffee cup in your hands, or even the quiet stillness of a few moments alone. A simple but transformative exercise can help you practice this. Choose a moment in your day to slow down intentionally. It could be while drinking your coffee, walking to work, or even taking a deep breath. Observe the details, the flavor, the colors around you, or the act of being present. You'll be amazed at how much happiness can be found in the ordinary. This practice isn't about making dramatic changes, but about subtle shifts in how you see everyday life. It trains your mind to focus on the here and now instead of constantly projecting happiness onto an uncertain future. Seneca, one of Stoicism's greatest teachers, was once asked by a student, "How can I achieve happiness?" His response was both simple and profound. Let go of your expectations and live in the moment. This wisdom reminds us that expectations often tether us to a constant sense of dissatisfaction. By living in the present, we release the weight of what we think should be and begin to appreciate what truly is. What would happen if, instead of endlessly chasing something new, you began rediscovering what is already within your grasp? Happiness isn't about reaching a destination, but finding fulfillment along the way. Life doesn't wait for grand accomplishments to offer you joy. It delivers it in every detail, every moment, if you're willing to notice. The true essence of happiness, as the Stoics teach us, isn't found in external things or achievements celebrated by the world. It's the reflection of your actions, the choices you make each day, and how you align your life with virtues like courage, justice, and wisdom. Happiness isn't a trophy to be earned. It's a practice, a daily commitment to growth and self-discovery. This perspective frees us from the trap of seeking happiness in all the wrong places. When you stop relying on external circumstances and start focusing on what truly matters, your actions, your integrity, and living in the present, happiness stops being something distant and becomes a natural part of your life. Today, we've explored how Stoicism redefines happiness. You've learned to distinguish between what's in your control and what isn't, to value simplicity, and to view challenges as opportunities. These are more than philosophical concepts. They're practical tools you can start using right now to transform your life. The choice is now yours. You can continue down the path the modern world pushes you toward, always chasing something more. Or you can decide to walk a new path where happiness isn't pursued, it's cultivated through virtuous actions and mindful living. What if you could finally break free from the endless chase for happiness and find real peace? After years of studying Stoicism and its life-changing principles, I've compiled everything you need into a powerful guide, Modern Stoicism in Practice. This isn't just something to read, it's the tool you've been searching for to regain control and live with purpose. Don't miss this opportunity to transform your mindset. Click the link pinned in the comments and see how far you can go. Feeling inspired? Don't stop here. Subscribe to the channel, like and share this with someone who needs it. You could change their life. And here's what's next. If you're curious about how to stay focused and eliminate distractions that sabotage your growth, the next video is for you. Watch it now and take one step closer to mastering your own happiness. Never forget, true happiness isn't found in the world's distractions, but in the clarity of living aligned with who you truly are.